Early this morning, we heard major breaking news. The husband of Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi, was mercilessly beaten with a hammer in his own home and has been hospitalized. The assailant has been taken into custody, and it appears this was a targeted attack. The latest information is that it would seem this was an assassination attempt on Nancy Pelosi, that someone was trying to find her, went to their home, and instead beat Paul Pelosi with this hammer. It is psychotic, and it's appalling. And, already we're seeing major condemnation from high-profile conservatives. Some believe this was probably just a random break-in. But now we have the update. It appears it's not. Considering the degree of crime in San Francisco, it's why a lot of people probably said it's probably just crime. Someone broke into a house. It's a wealthy house, and it just happened to have been Paul Pelosi. And I think one reason people didn't think it was targeted was because Nancy Pelosi is not there, and she probably wouldn't have been there. I mean, she's also working out of D.C. and many other places. But this is truly horrifying, my friends, and it appears it was an assassination attempt. Now, I want to stress to everybody, look, I've been talking about the escalation of violence in this country, and I have been warning that things will get to this point, and we're here. Someone broke into the Pelosi household and beat her husband with a hammer. I mean, it appears to be political. That's all I can say. But we do have a lot to break down as it pertains to the escalation of crime in this country, what's happening in New York. But we'll start with this story first from the Daily Beast. Nancy Pelosi's husband hospitalized after a hammer attack by home intruder. They say Paul Pelosi, the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, was hospitalized after being violently assaulted by an intruder who broke into the couple's residence in San Francisco early Friday morning. Mr. Pelosi was taken to the hospital where he's receiving excellent medical care and is expected to make a full recovery. The speaker was not in San Francisco at the time. The assailant was taken into custody and the motivation for the attack is under investigation, the statement said, adding that Pelosi and her family were grateful to the first responders and medical professionals involved. While the full details of the attack are yet to be released, law enforcement sources reportedly told CNN the 82-year-old was attacked by a male assailant with a hammer. Two sources who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity said that Pelosi sustained blunt force injuries to his body and his head, leaving him with bruising and severe swelling. The attack specifically targeted the Pelosi home, sources told the AP. San Francisco police spokesperson Sergeant Adam Lobsinger told the Daily Beast, quote, "We will be making a statement briefly. That's all I can tell you right now." He later tweeted to say the SFPD responded to a home break-in at 2:27 a.m. on Friday. SFPD Chief Scott will address the media at police headquarters. The United States Capitol Police said in a statement, the speaker was in D.C. with her protective detail at the time. It's not clear what security detail was at the Pelosi residence. Special agents at the USCP's California field office quickly arrived on scene, while a team of investigators from the department's threat assessment section was simultaneously dispatched from the East Coast to assist the FBI and the San Francisco police with a joint investigation. Capitol Police said in a statement, adding that the assailant's motivation was under investigation. Larry Kramer, Mr. Pelosi's spokesperson, told the Daily Beast on Friday morning he did not have any information to provide. So we have this right now from ABC 7 News. Paul Pelosi violently attacked. And they say that sources confirm that it was a targeted break-in. The suspect allegedly entered through a sliding door carrying a hammer and was looking for Nancy Pelosi. Now, they say they're investigating the motivation, but my friends, I think so far the reporting is fairly clear. Obviously, it's subject to change. We'll see exactly what this turns into. Terry Moran, who is the senior national correspondent for ABC News, said the suspect allegedly entered the house through a sliding glass door carrying a hammer and was looking for the speaker herself. Paul Pelosi's injuries are significant, but according to sources familiar with the matter, he is expected to recover. Yeah, outright. Not okay. Horrifying in more ways than one. I will stress it to you, my friends. This is a very horrifying story on the surface and in depth. On the surface, we have the story of an 82-year-old man whose home was broken into and was mercilessly beaten with a hammer. That in and of itself is horrifying. As we get deeper into the story, I want you to realize just how significant this is. This is a politically charged attack, if it really is that they were going after Nancy Pelosi. And what that means is we could be looking at a high-profile assassination attempt. I know some people are already saying on the right that it was a false flag. They don't believe it. The election's coming up right now. I don't. Provide evidence. For the time being, we have to make sure we're calling out the violence. We have to. In greater detail, in greater depth. I mean, my friends, I can say it over and over again, civil war. You know, people don't want to believe it. More and more people are starting to agree. And I hope I'm wrong. You know, with the Elon Musk Twitter buyout, the episode of the Joe Rogan Experience that I did with Vijaya and Jack Dorsey is getting a lot of prominence. It's, you know, getting clips are being shared and people are talking about it based on the things that we all talked about. And I wonder if people remember that at the end of that episode, I talked about buying a van and bugging out because if they keep doing what they're doing, there's going to be conflict. It's going to get violent. There could be a civil war. I went back onto Rogan's show, I think a couple times after that. And actually, yeah. I think I went early during the pandemic and then later on. So, wow, yeah, I've been on Joe's show 4 times, I think. The last time I was there, we talked Civil War. A few weeks ago, or a couple months ago now at this point, Joe said that I forgot who he was talking to. It might have been Aaron Rodgers or somebody. And he was like, you know, I had Tim Pool on my show and he was talking about Civil War. And I was like, come on, you know, it's like you're going too far with it. Now I think he might be right. So, you know, I messaged Joe and said, hey, appreciate the kind words. I don't want to be right. I want to be wrong. I don't want a civil war to happen. So many people say, like, you know, they comment, Tim Pool wants a civil war. That's why he talks about it. Bro, no. No, I would rather sit in a lounge chair with my feet in some hot bubbling water eating boneless. Well, actually, I like bone-in chicken wings now. You know, I don't like the breading and everything. Eating chicken wings, hanging out with friends, maybe watching some sporting event. I like Nitro Circus. That's a whole lot of fun. I like watching action sports, like individual sports. I would like to go to the skate park and have those be the worrying issues. Not whether or not someone is breaking into the home of the Speaker of the House seeking to beat her with a hammer. That's terrifying. And there's another reason you guys should understand this. If there's a civil war, let me just tell you, who do you think the first targets are going to be? Right now in this political landscape. It's high-profile political individuals. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been swatted now 6 times. That is an attempt on her life. I'm glad she's okay. Hope they figure out who's doing it. We have been swatted, I think, 11 times, including my private home, which is that no one knows about, as well. And I'm surprised. I don't even know how that was pulled off. And also, we've had the bomb squad deployed more than once. Twice, to be specific. If there's a civil war, yeah, I'm much, you know, I'm maybe on the middle of the totem pole there in terms of who's targeted in these violent attacks. Obviously, there's people well above me on Twitter now with the Elon Musk thing. People are pulling up their social blade tracking or whatever, and I'm like the 7,000th biggest Twitter account or whatever. So it's like, take out all the marketing stuff, maybe cut the number in half. There's several thousand people who may be in front of me when violence escalates. But my point is, I don't want a civil war to happen. I want to be safe. I am worried about my own health and my own life. And with the swattings and the violence against us, my friends, my family, and myself, we were in Nashville. I was hanging out with John Rich. And he said, let's go do a show at my, what is it? What is it called? What are those Nashville bars called? I don't know what they're called. There's a word, a honky tonk. Is that what it is? A honky tonk? And we had to cancel because we had a legitimate death threat and they determined it was credible. And I said, okay. I mean, actually I said, I don't care. Bring it on. I'm going. And then they were like, dude, if something crazy happens, there's children outside. There's children here. Okay. It's like the downtown area. And I was like, that's how they get you. You see, threatening violence against you, you can defy it. You can say I will not back down, but there's the safety of others involved. And so even if I wanted to, they said no. Like, it's not happening, dude. Happened with Ben Shapiro. They threatened to arrest him at, I think it was DePaul in Chicago. They said, if you enter the property, we'll arrest you for trespassing because of the threat of violence. And that's insane. It's crazy, man, that we've come to this point. I think it's going to get absolutely nuts. Rand Paul, he tweeted, "No one deserves to be assaulted. Unlike Nancy Pelosi's daughter, who celebrated my assault, I condemn this attack and wish Mr. Pelosi a speedy recovery." Caleb Hull, who Rand Paul was responding to, said, "Twitter has removed Nancy Pelosi's daughter's tweet where she endorsed the assault of Senator Rand Paul." This is from March 4th, 2020. The Twitter violated the rules. Christine Pelosi said Rand Paul's neighbor was right. Rand Paul was seriously injured. He had to get a piece of his lung removed. Paul Kane said he told us the other day his biggest personal concern was not getting this because his wife has MS. Now he can't see her for almost 2 weeks. That's Senator Romney. I think it's a reference to Paul. She said Rand Paul's neighbor was right. It's crazy, man, that it's come to this, that it's getting this far. We'll do the time traveler's test again. If I came to you in 2015 and said that by 2020 there would have been the storming of the Capitol, that on January 6th, 1,000 so people would have rioted at the Capitol, and or I should say, several hundred rioted at the Capitol fighting with police, and that several hundred more entered the Capitol disrupting the Electoral College proceedings. If I were to tell you that there would have been the largest riots we've seen in 50 years, dozens dead. If I were to tell you that someone would break into the speaker's house with a hammer seeking to beat her with it and then beat her husband, would you have believed any of that in 2015? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, and I know you wouldn't, because when the violence started escalating with the Antifa and Proud Boys in 2016, 2017, 2018, and I said, it's like this is going to escalate and get worse, people told me I was crazy. They said, oh, it's just stupid street protests. Proud Boys fighting Antifa will not escalate. Well, the story we have now is that someone seeking Nancy Pelosi with a hammer mercilessly beat her husband and giving him serious injuries, significant injuries, and putting him in the hospital. Rand Paul was attacked. Aaron Danielson took 2 to the chest randomly on the street in Portland. If I were to tell you in 2015, 16, 17, that far-left extremists would occupy large portions of major cities with rifles and gun down random people, you would not have believed me. Even today, it's hard to believe. Large groups of far-left extremists seized portions of major cities, occupying them with rifles, and then murdered several people. There was one story where they unloaded 300 plus rounds into a white SUV. I believe they killed 2 teenagers. I'm not sure if it was 2 or just the one. Would you have believed me? If I were to tell you now that we are dangerously close to a civil war, would you believe it? Many people won't. They'll say outright that no way, just no way. I mean, are you just looking at this story, dude? Look, it's one of 2 things, at the very least. Maybe you believe it was a false flag attack because the election's here and they're trying to bolster Democrats and make the right look crazy. Believe it if you want. Maybe it was a legitimate attack. I mean, based on the reporting, I believe it actually happened. I don't believe it's a false flag. The end result is the same no matter what you believe. The left will see this. They will push it. They will claim worse things. They will say that there's going to be more violence. They will rally their side to arms, and they've already been doing it. The escalation from here is clear. It will happen. Here's a tweet from Ellen Barkin responding to The Hill. The Hill said, Marjorie Taylor Greene warns companies that stopped donations to 2020 election deniers. You won't be forgotten. Ellen Barkin on Twitter, verified with 252,000 followers, says, These are the kind of direct threats that got Paul Pelosi violently attacked. They are obviously not done. What did Marjorie say? You won't be forgotten? What? How is that a threat? It's amazing, isn't it? These people are dangerous, violent psychopaths. It doesn't matter. You could drop a packing peanut on their head and they would report in the press that you tried to murder them. by dropping a dangerous object on their head. And they'll argue, well, packing peanuts can be dangerous if you inhale it. So it is dangerous. And you did drop it on my head. So, well, that proves it. That's the game they play. Meanwhile, you have Nancy Pelosi's own daughter advocating, defending, supporting the violent attack that nearly killed Rand Paul. They had to surgically remove a piece of his lung because of the attack on him by his neighbor. And this is where we are. It's not just the direct political violence, it's the breakdown. NBC News tweeted, former Saturday Night Live star Chris Redd was punched in the face outside a famed New York City comedy club and hospitalized in what police described as an unprovoked attack. My response to this was, at what point can you not say unprovoked? I mean, seriously, crime has risen so dramatically in New York, we should call it a predictable attack. It's only getting worse. Here we go. Man randomly stabbed. Teen brutally mugged in latest New York City subway crime. What is it? 29 people have been pushed in front of the trains so far this year? 29 people? I know there's millions in New York. But how many people have been standing on the subway, minding their own business, and they've been pushed into an oncoming train? Why? Why is this happening? And there's the latest video of the guy who does it. He pushes the guy into the tracks and then runs. Why did he do it? He didn't know the guy. Why just murder someone like that? Because the system's breaking apart, and it's been breaking apart for some time. Things are getting insane. They are increasingly getting worse. Well, there you go. The system's in free fall. It's collapsing. The left advocates for violence. They call for more violence. They release criminals. That's it. They come out and they say that Marjorie Taylor Greene wagging the finger at a business is a violent, direct threat. It's insane. But these people are evil. You know, look, I don't care. They're evil. They are some of the purest evil I've ever seen. And I think it's because there's been a growing evil that's slopped off of the left and formed its own weird leftist psycho cult. I don't know. I can speculate as to why, but these people genuinely are evil. They lie every day. They escalate violence. They call for violence. They fund violent criminals. They're advocating for the release of violent criminals from prison. They want you put in prison for bringing your kids to a playground. That actually happened because they're evil. And, you know, there's so many people that think they're playing moderate, they're playing centrist. You're not. They're, you know, oh, well, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm in the middle here and the left is some. No. I'm sorry. The science has backed this up. There are conservatives, there are libertarians, there are moderates, there are independents, and those are all separate from the left, even liberals. Many people don't pay attention. And all that is required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. So for many of these people, you know what? Ian made a really great point. Ian Crossland. He mentions how he went and visited his mom. And he said something like, you know, Biden really shouldn't be sniffing these and grabbing these little kids. And his mom went, he didn't do that. And then Ian was like, here's the video. And then she looked at the video and she goes like, he should not be doing that. And Ian's like, I know. Ian's mom's not a bad person. She's just not paying attention to what's going on. And not everybody has to. But I guess these days you kind of do now. It used to be that you didn't have to, but now you do. Because if you are the good person doing nothing, then you are all that is required for evil to triumph. And it is. It is triumphing. So what do? I don't have all the answers, my friend. Step one is going to be go vote and vote Republican. That's just the reality. The Democrats are absolutely psychotic. And I watch and read a lot of what they write. I follow a lot of these people. They said, here's what we're seeing now from many of these personalities. Herschel Walker can't even string a sentence together and is unqualified to be in the Senate. Go vote for John Fetterman. He's a good dude. Okay, that's evil. It's outright evil. 100% evil. Why? Herschel Walker does struggle to string sentences together. I don't know if I would vote for him. I'm not a big fan. John Fetterman can barely communicate, nor can he understand words said to him. It's a very big difference. And they're in the same field, but saying Herschel Walker is just stupid is different from saying John Fetterman is disabled and incapable. But that's the lie. The lie is, how can you vote for Walker? He can't even say a sentence. Like, okay, well, I hear you. But you better go vote for Fetterman, they say. Are you nuts? Joe Biden couldn't string a sentence together either. Look, they hate you. They hate you. They hate you. They'll gloat when you die. We see it on Twitter. They call for the death of the Covington kids. Remember that? Nick Sandman was the victim of an adult man getting in his face and banging a drum in his face, and they called for his death. These people are evil. It is a violent mob of psychopaths. Violence isn't the answer. We need to win politically and control the system and restore order. What happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband was chaos. More chaos is not going to solve these problems. It's not. Order will. Things have become too chaotic. And it's getting bad. It's getting real bad. Everybody needs to understand two things. One, the violence is wrong, period, across the board. The violence against Nancy Pelosi's husband is extremely wrong. And I'll tell you this, politically, it's helping Democrats. And that's why people are calling it a false flag. Because whoever this moron was, he's tremendously helped Democrats. Do not engage in this stuff. It does not work. I can show you all the polls from BLM. They had tremendous support, and then they rioted, and they lost everything. Violence only hurts your cause. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.